Hey everybody, Jesse here. Welcoming you guys back into my garage, my man cave. Just going to look at Psalm 139 today, and before I get too far into it, today's April 6th. Today is Monday. It is in the year 2020, and today is day 14 of my accountability quest. Looking through Psalm 139 today, I get to learn a little bit about David and what a leader's relationship with God, what it looks like, and how it shapes his or her perspectives. Now, after taking a moment to read Psalm 139, it's 24 verses, and it's actually a song, a worship song that David wrote to God. I can only imagine what David was thinking when he wrote this. He was seeing the big picture, like David explored the depths of God's omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience. You see, David had a true and intimate relationship with God, and that shaped his perspective on life. Now, being a king of Israel, knew that he wasn't alone, and that he was excited that he could draw upon God's wisdom. He could never run from God. He could never run from his judgment either, and that he knew that he could always count on God to be there whenever he needed it. The leader of Israel had a leader himself, named Yahweh. What do you think some benefits are to having an intimate relationship with God as a leader? I'm going to go over a few things, and there's like 6 of them, and it's going to just spread out through verses 1 through 24. And I looked at verses 1 through 6, and that tells us that God knows our every thought. Secondly, verses 7 through 10 tell us that God directs us no matter where we go. And in verses 11 and 12, that teaches that God knows no hopeless or helpless situations. Verse 13 through 16 tells us that God formed every single complex detail of our body, our mind, and our spirits, of our soul. He talked about in those verses knowing the complex details of his body before he was even thought of. Arms, legs, head, your body, just thinking about that before you're even born as a baby. Everything. God formed everything before that. Verses 17 and 18 tell me that God constantly thinks of us and is concerned with our detail of our everyday lives. And then lastly, verses 23 and 24 say that God searches our hearts and will purify our motives. Now, I get to thinking someday that I allow myself to have good or bad days. But all in all, that's my choice. No matter what circumstances come up, I choose to have a good or a bad day. Nothing can differ that. And then yesterday, I allowed myself to have a bad day at the end of my day. I made it through the whole day, and it was amazing. The ending to my day just changed, and that crappy ending determined my whole day, and it just determined it for the worst. I let it ruin my attitude, and all I need to do to keep my intimate relationship with God is communicate with him. And when things change my perspective, they change for the better or for the worse. And so the more I communicate with God, the more I'm in the Word, and the more I pray, the better my day is going to be. Nothing's going to be able to loosen my grip on that. Now, I bet it looks similar in all of our lives. What do you think about all of us working on a more intimate relationship with God? in order to overcome our bad days and turn them all into good. So that's my question for you guys is, would you want a more intimate relationship with God? And how much better would your days be with more communication? And then what do you think that'll do to change your days? And how would that make your day better? So definitely learned a lot from Psalm 139, this worship song to God. And I just want to ask that if you think you know anybody that needs to hear this, like, go ahead and share it. Go ahead and pass that on to them, or tell them to come visit my page and and go through some of the scriptures that we've gone through already. I'm going to put up more every day, but until then, you have what I've put up already, and hopefully that helps them with anything that they have so far. They could always leave a comment. You could always leave a comment, or you can like or subscribe even to the page. If you subscribe, you get everything every day. So that's the best that I can give you guys. So I do love seeing your guys' comments, and I do love knowing that you guys are actually watching these, and that they actually could potentially be helping you for the better in your life. So thank you guys again for coming into my little garage, my man cave, and thanks for taking the time to just hang out with Jesse.